Oh, oh, there we go. Okay.
It's
Welcome.
not terrible. It could be worse.
It could be worse. It could be better. Um, I like being able to see the full game, so I like having it different. But anyway, welcome everyone to a very low-key, a very chill stream this week because I do not have the energy for a very amped up stream this week. But I am David Kutchik, and I am a PhD student here at UW Milwaukee. First year PhD student, and I am joined by...
Hi, I'm Ren. I'm a first-year master's student at UW Milwaukee, and I am also low energy.
All right, so we'll start with our land acknowledgement, and then we'll get going. So we acknowledge that in Milwaukee, we live and work on traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homelands along the southwest shores of Michigami, part of North America's largest system of freshwater lakes, where the Milwaukee, Menominee, and Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with the game. So I've been playing Yooka Laylee a little bit recently. Is the chat showing up on the stream?
The chat's not showing up on the stream. I think you might have the color block higher on the layers than the chat.
It shouldn't.
You might just have chat disabled. Or no.
Oh, I can't. Yep, I can't see it. That's why. All right, I put it up to visible now, so hopefully that works. Wait,
Hopefully.
what's this? Oh, that's the fan game volleys. I'm messing around now. But yeah, so I got this game because I have Xbox Pass, and this is like one of the free games. And I played the original Yooka Laylee. I did not really enjoy it all that much. And so this game's a little more fun, but it's not 3D platformer, it's 2D platformer. With like a 3D-ish style world overlay thingy. But anyway, so
2.5.
yeah, kind of. Yes, 2.5. So I've gotten most of the levels done because I played it a bunch this weekend to de-stress. I like playing platformers to kind of like relax because you don't really have to worry about story at all. But let's go over to chapter 11, which is Conveyor Chaos. I haven't done this one.
Awesome. Yooka Laylee was such kind of a disaster. I mean, I love it, but like the game was a bit of a disaster, and so I'm glad that they. I don't know how much Playtonic is going to push Yooka Laylee in the future, but like I really wanted this game to be good because I love the aesthetics, I love the design. There's just so much to grow on,
Yeah. So something I really enjoy. I'm enjoying the Impossible Lair a lot more. One of the fun things is that you can unlock tonics. That you take with you into each level, and it affects...
Playtonics?
Yes, literally they're called Playtonics, of course. And what you do is you unlock them and then buy them, and then they affect like how many quills, which are kind of like the things you spend. They're basically your money for the game. They'll affect your quill multiplier. So, for example, I can equip this Tri-Twirl, which is a glide move that can help me reach farther locations, but it'll affect how many quills I receive at the end, so it'll do like a minus 0.3 to my quill bonus. And for me, rather than using some of these special moves or special things like rolling faster or running faster, I would rather just get a bunch of quills because I like getting money. So I've equipped 3 multipliers that give me a bunch of quills. So one is every enemy takes an extra hit to eliminate, but it adds +5 to my quill multiplier. And then I also equipped 2, which is the quill magnet, which automatically draws quills towards me, which lets me be a little bit lazier when I go throughout the level. And also helps with some platforming stuff, which we'll probably see. And then there's also Quill Explosion, which is where enemies die in an explosion of quills. So, I'm all about that quill life. I'm a greedy capitalist in this game.
Oh my god. Well, this game is... Well, I don't know how much this game is. The previous game is about greedy capitalists, so... Yeah, there you go.
See, so with something like that I just did, right? Usually in the game, it would require you to do some nice platforming, jumping, and rolling abilities. But because I have that quill ability, I can just kind of walk around it and it'll take me to it. Or it'll bring all the quills towards me, which is nice.
The level design here, I'm interested to see how the level progresses. But like, this reminds me of the 2D sections in Crash Bandicoot. Which are quite good. I just, you know, like, maybe it's just the industrial feel and the chasing of, you know, a limited time resource, but there's something about it that reminds me of the 2D sections. Crash Bandicoot.
This game also does something interesting like, if you get hit... Oops, I died. If you get hit, your partner, Laylee, who's the bat on Yooka's back, if you get hit once, she'll, like, kind of fly around, and you have to capture her again, basically. And if you don't capture her again, you lose some abilities, and you also die on your second hit. So, like, it's a different way to kind of do the mechanic of, like, how many hits does it take, you know, until you die.
Yeah.
It's kind of a unique... I shouldn't say unique, but it's a different way of doing it that I haven't really seen before.
Yeah, and more to the comparisons to Crash Bandicoot, right? Like having the mask in Crash Bandicoot where you take a hit and it pops off, and you can't recover it necessarily, but that's still like that visual effect.
Yeah, and
is similar.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country has that same thing when you have like Diddy Kong or Dixie Kong or whoever is your partner. But this is... I don't know if there is any other games that do it, so I'm not going to say it's unique. But it is one of the few I've seen... It's the only one I've seen that lets you, like, recapture your, like, partner. Which makes it a little bit different from other games I've played.
Well, it's value, right? Like Laylee has, like, has actual... It's more than just, like, a gameplay tool. So there's some like... use in the kind of world to be like, oh, I gotta go help my friend, you know?
Yeah.
And if I help my friend helps me. But yeah, I think maybe Donkey Kong Country is the better comparison here. Just because, like,
they're obviously inspired by it, because you know they all worked on them. So.
Yeah. So are there minecart sections? I have to ask.
I don't think so. Not in this one, at least. Maybe I'm mistaken. Oh, goodness. That was a bad move. I don't know why I did that.
It's gonna be hard to recover.
I'm tired.
Ooh, yeah, that's rough.
I am tired because it is the week before finals, and it is stressful.
Yeah, so is there any other way to recover your friend, or is it just...
You have to like run into her, basically.
Oh, so if she disappears, then that's that. You don't...
Yeah.
That's done. That's rough. That's rough.
But
it's interesting, actually.
There are these bells you can use in the level that will bring her back, actually. Oop.
Okay, so there are other options. That's...
Yeah, or you can just die and she automatically comes back. So, like, I didn't mean to do that, where I just fell into the acid, but you know what? I didn't lose... I didn't lose anything by doing that.
Right.
The game does keep a tally of how many times you die, but I don't really care.
What a weird hodgepodge of, like, things from other platformers. Huh. This game keeps a tally of how many times you die. That's really fascinating. At least it doesn't strike me as the kind of game that people are going in thinking like, oh my god, I've got to, like, you know, like this design, the visual design, the way the mechanics are functioning, it doesn't scream to me like precision platformer, you know?
Yeah, I think it's less like, I think it's just like you can, you know how like in Kingdom Hearts it'll tell you how many times you died at the end. Like I think it's more
Oh,
like
sure,
that.
yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's fair, right? Because like Kingdom Hearts, it's like most of the time, most players are not going to care too much about those statistics unless you happen to be, you know, the kind of person who will run critical mode and run, you know, for try to get everything done and want to be particularly proficient about your gameplay. So maybe it provides more options than it does like in the way something like Super Meat Boy requires that kind of play.
Totally.
Yeah.
Something that also is interesting that this game does, and will, once I'm done with this version of the level, you'll see, but it does 2 versions of each level. And so, like, basically the overworld isn't only where you, like, gain access to the levels, but you can also do, like, little... Each level within the game, there's something in the overworld you can do to, like, change it into a different version of the level. So, and we'll see what that looks like when I go back to the overworld and finish this level. But right now I'm playing this level in reverse, technically, so like the conveyor belts are all reversed of what they usually are. And when I play it again, then like it'll be like the quote-unquote normal version of the level. But it's interesting because sometimes it'll be like, in some levels, you know, it's like a water level, but if you like use this freeze flower in the overworld, it'll change it to like a frozen version of the level, which gives you access to different areas and stuff.
Yeah, I like that. That's neat. God, it was another game I had played that was like, I think, a 3D platform that had very similar kind of mechanisms that way. Gee, what the hell was it? I've seen that done, something like that done before, and it's always really interesting. And I like the conceptually the mixing of, well, you have to do this action in the world that's mainly considered to be just for navigating between levels, as opposed to, you know, doing it in the game itself or in the levels themselves. Right? It kind of bridges that notion of moving around through the overworld, which, you know, is something that Yooka Laylee was doing already in the first game, right? You had to navigate around the overworld as if it was one of the other worlds you were investigating. Something, you know, I believe you could do the same thing in Mario 64. So it's really been there since the inception of the kind of 3D platforming with multiple places you can go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, in Super... Oh, shoot. Why can't I do that? Do I have to come up here? I don't think so. Also, standard platformer. There are 5 coins in each level you can amass.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get the 4th coin right now.
This is always, I think Platonic's probably always going to run into this issue as long as they keep kind of making these games. And they seem very primed to make them. You know, how do you know what mechanics from older platformers you want to keep around and what you want to leave by the wayside or iterate on? God, and that's kind of the $1 million question, isn't it? How do you keep the nostalgia while modernizing the gameplay? Or choose not to modernize the gameplay, but still make it feel rewarding, right? Like Hardcell was joking around, like, oh, they make another, like a GoldenEye, right, clone, essentially, with all the issues of GoldenEye. And that is a risk, right? If somebody goes out and makes a game that's inspired by GoldenEye, that you run amok of all of the bad design decisions from the thing that inspired you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially when you have a team, I think, and part of Platonic's, like, Kickstarter, you know, part of the discourse of it is they used to make those kinds of games, right? So it's like interesting that you have a dev team that's like kind of semi-independent. I mean, they are independent now, technically, but you know, they had been in the industry, and so like, I think I can't get up there. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it another way.
Yeah, that's rough. Oof. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a weird kind of position to be in at that studio where, like, I'm sure they feel kind of what some of the fans of Rare have felt for a really long time, which is, man, Rare was really robbed of the chance to make some of the games they could have made by being acquired by Microsoft.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so I wonder, yeah, I wonder how much their adherence to these kind of older paradigms without a lot of iteration that are really grating in Yooka Laylee come out of that anxiety of trying to remake those older kind of spaces that the fans seem to have been asking for without like the modernization that really helped them. And in some places, like it's not entirely, I think, fair to say that Playtonic hasn't had an eye for some modernisms, but it's still kind of baffling to me that they thought it would be a good idea to have Grant Kirkhope do the voice work very similarly to Banjo-Kazooie in the higher fidelity audio. Didn't think, well, hey, maybe that'll present an issue as far as like it being grading at a higher fidelity,
And the character design. Oh, I found the secret. Oh shoot, I went in it again. And the character designs of Yooka Laylee, I think, like the aesthetics and of the original Banjo-Kazooie game, it just like doesn't work in this environment either. How they like design characters, like I really don't like having pipes with eyeballs as like a character in the game. I just think it's like weird and looks weird. And I think it works better. I don't know. The character design in this game is also just strange. Shoot.
Yeah, the way the cannons work is like, God, this really is just Donkey Kong Country, but Yooka Laylee.
Yep.
That's wow. All right, guys. I mean, it looks fun. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, wow,
Yep.
Holy shit. Yeah, I think like. I wonder
Hard Sell makes a great point though that like Kickstarters show that leads don't make games.
Yeah.
Or aren't just made by leads. And I think that's a good point, right? Like the concept, there's a reason why some people are like concept artists and other people are artists. You know what I mean? Other people, right? Other people, like some people are really good at coming up with like concepts, designs overall, but other people are much better at like actually implementing them in a game environment.
Oh my god, yeah, that's absolutely true. You gotta have like a balance of people who will sit there and go, well, what if we could do this, and people who will sit there and go, okay, but we can't do this, and because ultimately, I think very often, the individual who turns to the organization and says, hey, this is a possibility, doesn't always have the best way of like implementing it within the context of whatever's going on. I think like in this one instance, it's really helpful to think of genre as an institution, and the expectations that genre derives, for better or for worse, as institutional. And so then, you need people who can operate within those kinds of expectations and people who are willing to bust them. And sometimes that's the same person. More often than not, in a game context, it's a team of 60 people, or a team of 4 people, or in an indie context or something like that. And then every once in a while you have one person who goes out and makes a game and it's like, holy shit, how the hell did you have your head on your shoulders well enough to make this thing? And that's, for me, that's Cave Story. Like, I cannot believe the Cave Story actually got made,
and usually solo developers do go crazy.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, the labor is just
insane.
Yeah.
I would say Mighty Number 9 is probably the most infamous Kickstarter. I don't know if it's the worst because I haven't played all 3 games, but
yeah, I mean, the thing is that like Yooka Laylee, I mean, what I will say is for Yooka Laylee and Shenmue 3 is they were exactly as not as advertised, but they were predictable. They were the issues of the previous games put into a modern context where those issues became exceptionally more pronounced. Mighty Number 9, I feel like in some ways, my experience with it was, God, this feels barely playable. And I don't think the same is true for Shenmue 3, and the same is true for Yooka Laylee. Certainly, I feel like you could sit down and enjoy those games in certain ways. They just suffered from the issues of the previous games. Although I've been told that was Deadly Premonition 2 a Kickstarter game? Let me look this up.
Oh man, I thought there'd be a secret here, but there isn't. Oh well. What I will say though is, the Impossible Lair is a much more refined experience than the
Oh
first
no,
one.
It looks like it looks genuinely. This looks like something that if it was on sale on Steam, I'd pick it up and try it out. Like this looks. I don't want to say it doesn't look like an exceptional platformer, but it looks like a pretty solid little thing. And the art design from the previous games or the previous game has really carried over in unique ways. And I love these backgrounds. They look so good. Yeah. And I don't want to say the backgrounds alone will get me into a game, but I will say when it comes to a game like Final Fantasy VII, and when those backgrounds are that fucking gorgeous, I will just sit down and play a game to see the pre-rendered backgrounds.
So
and there's a lot more to love there too.
So y'all can't see it, but so in this little cavern that I'm in, there is this huge puzzle to get this cube block down from the top of the cavern down to the bottom. I had to do a whole bunch of different platforming and puzzle solving things. So now that this block is here, now I can put the block on this little switch, and that's how the level changes. So the conveyor chaos level, I was doing the crosswire version, which is the backwards version. So now that my box is off the switch, now I can play the regular version. I kind of like playing the second version first, just because it's interesting to take the game tells you this is the normal version, and then this is the second version. I'm kind of let's do the second version first and see how the normal version is different. I don't know. That's just fun to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, seeing I love one of the things I adore about games, just as a concept, is that they, the process of playing is a process of instruction. You learn how the game is designed by playing it in some ways. I mean, obviously you're not going to learn the coding, but you are going to learn the principles, right? I like this in this game, or in order to succeed in this game, this is what I'm doing, and these are the contingencies I'm bucking against, and whatever else, right? And so seeing how a level is iterated on, I think can tell you a lot about what the team was hoping the player would do, and hoping the player would see and think through. There's something really nice about that.
One of my favorite versions of a level is one level was on a bridge, and then there was a lever to lift the bridge up on its side. So then the whole level is rather than it being a vertical level, it becomes or rather than being a horizontal level, it becomes a vertical level where you're climbing up a tower or the side of a building basically, rather than walking along the ground. And that's just a cool little way to mix it up.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, this is such a interesting. I like the mix of steampunk and I guess more. I mean, really is. I don't even know if it's a mix. It really is just really steampunk. Is the whole game this aggressively steampunk, or is it just okay?
It's just this level.
Yeah.
I mean, there are